Hello and welcome to Joie de Vivre. So I wanted to check in with you, just see how you're doing. I've been talking to a lot of people who are in a similar place right now. We're a couple of years out from 2020, March of 2020, when the world started to shut down. And a lot of people have really made a lot of important changes and have started to get back to a sense of normalcy. And yet there's still a sense for a lot of people, I think, of overwhelm again. A lot of activities, social activities and work, it has amped up again. And it's almost like, wait, I kind of wish we could, I don't want to go back to the way things were, but it might be nice if I could stop again, if I could take a breather again. So I'm hearing a lot of that. I'm hearing a lot of people have also just kind of trying to get back in touch with their innate joy. It's like there was like a blanket over their souls for the past couple of years, and they're still kind of waking up from that. You could call it a funk that maybe started with the pandemic and then has been continuing with a lot of disruption on the world stage, and everything that's happening in the economy and the war and all that. So in all these ways, I've been just exploring with people, how we can get to a place of ease, a place of joy, just lightheartedness and joy, no matter what might be happening in the world or for you personally in terms of circumstances. So that's what I'm really aiming to do here. And I put together a video series of three. This is the first of three. And I'm going to be discussing some particular things around specifically overwhelm, feeling overly busy, getting back on that hamster wheel again, with regard to work, but also just work-life balance. That whole thing again. How can we actually have more of a balanced life and feel like we're actually present for all the things that we have on our calendar? But today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some narratives that I think run through our culture, that have run through our culture more and more over the past couple of decades. And they're narratives that people have been questioning, but I feel like a lot of people don't really know what to do about it. People get caught up. We get caught up in our reality, whether that's the rat race or keeping up with the Joneses or whatever it is. And it's kind of hard to see another way of doing things. So one of the narratives I want to explore, which I think is really, it shows up in many ways in our culture. And it's not enough is what it is. It's either feeling like I'm not doing enough, or I don't have enough, or I am not enough. And I think it's really important to question these narratives because they really are sort of embedded throughout the culture, and they come through us in many different ways, through family sometimes, through the media, through pop culture, through advertising, through from peer pressure, any number of ways that we sort of get this idea that we're not doing enough, or we don't have enough. Like we always need to be wanting more and more and more. It's not okay to just be satisfied or content. And then, of course, underneath all that is I am not enough, because why would we need to be doing more and having more if we felt like we were enough? So I think it's important to really look at these things and how they show up, because questioning our beliefs, questioning our narratives is the most important thing that we can do in order to feel happier, more at peace. Because there are a lot of harmful narratives that may have sort of served us or served the culture in some way, but they're actually working against us. So I think questioning narratives is so important, because that gives us the space to have insights. And insights are really the key to big life changes. And it can start with a small insight, or it can start with a big insight. But the point is that we have the space for an insight. So where in your life do you feel maybe like you're not enough, or you're not doing enough? I mean, I know I talk to a lot of people feel like they're not doing enough at their jobs. And there's a lot of times there's a fear of, being fired or laid off or just simply not getting the promotion or the raise. And so there's always this nagging feeling of I need to be doing more. I need to be doing more, more, and more. And oftentimes that can translate into poor work-life balance or boundaries. So, you know, answering emails too late into the night, or never really unplugging, or not fully unplugging on the weekends. Or it can just result in a constant feeling of stress and overwhelm, and feeling like you need to be pushing harder and getting more things done. And so one thing I want to say about that is that adding pressure to what's already on our plates doesn't actually help us get more done, and it doesn't help us get anything done well. So we can do what we can do in the time that we have, and we can do that with pressure or without. And actually, the higher quality work comes out of the lower pressure, for most people, lower pressure. Now, I'm not saying that sometimes things like deadlines are not effective, because they do. There is something that happens when you're meeting a deadline. You realize you need to get it done, and you get it done, right? And sometimes that little edge does help. But staying in that state all the time, feeling like you need to have your foot on the accelerator all the time, that's actually just burning you out. That's actually going to deplete you over time. And a lot of people I talk to are exhausted a lot of times on the weekends, for example, but they don't really have time to recoup then, because there's so much going on the weekends. It's kind of like a nonstop. It's a hamster wheel. It's a different hamster wheel, the social hamster wheel coming off of the work hamster wheel. But just stop right now and see, what if you are doing enough, and what if you could actually do less and be more effective if you changed the way you were approaching the work. If you were able to ease off the accelerator, which means, by the way, that it's letting go of the fears, right? The fears that may be driving you, which, by the way, are imagined worst case scenarios that you've dreamed up, future imaginary worst case scenarios, like getting fired, getting laid off, not getting the promotion. So you're basically living in your imagination, in a world that you've created, an imagined future world in which you don't get what you want, or something terrible happens, and you're living in that place, trying to defend against it, trying to prevent that outcome. But what you're not doing is being present. And that means doing your work in a way that is more sustainable. You're pushing your foot on the gas. You're trying to force things in order to prevent some kind of outcome. We human beings do this a lot. We try to control outcomes. And of course, the more we're trying to control things, the more rigid we become and the more stressed out we become, because we really can't control things. So what if actually working less hard had the same result, meaning you still got the promotion, you did not get terminated, and you felt better physically, mentally, and emotionally, and the quality of work you were producing was higher? It might seem counterintuitive, but I'm just challenging you to consider it and maybe even try it. The other thing I want to say about this is that, that worst case scenario that you're trying to defend against, that you're trying to prevent, you don't really have that much control over whether it happens or not. In other words, if you're showing up and you're doing your best, and I mean just showing up, knowing that you showing up and doing what's in front of your face is enough without all the added pressure, it's very unlikely you're going to get fired. Now, you cannot control if you get laid off because the company restructures. That's nothing you cannot change the outcome of that. So there's no reason to try or to worry about it. And in the event that you do get laid off, which, and this has happened countless times with people I've worked with, that's can be a very liberating thing because when our worst case scenarios come true and our worst fears come true, it no longer is just this horror story that's playing in our minds. When it actually comes true, we deal with it. It's like, oh, well, I just put one foot in front of the other. I start looking for jobs again. I start talking to people I know. I It's not as horrible as we feared. So these are just all things to think about when it comes to, am I doing enough? Because I think you're probably doing too much. That would be my guess, because a lot of people are. And maybe you're not one of those people, but a lot of people are doing too much. They're doing too much at work. They're working too hard to try to prove themselves or overcome their imposter syndrome or get to get to the next stage, the next milestone, the next goalpost. And the same goes for, outside of work. Are you taking on too many responsibilities? Or you're adding too much to your plate? Is there anything you can take off your plate? I was talking to a mother that I know a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about, because she has a daughter who is around 10 years old, and it's the norm now to have themed birthday parties, and a lot goes into planning the themed birthday party. It's you pick the theme, and then you have to get all the decorations together and the cake and everything, and it's just a big deal. Sometimes there's even like a guest that comes in a costume, something like that. And she said, this year I just couldn't deal with it, and I decided to throw a kind of a 1980s style birthday party, basically, not a 1980s themed, a 1980s style birthday party. She said, so basically I just invited the kids over, we ordered a pizza, and they played. And you know what I am thinking? I'm thinking, I bet you the kids had just as much fun as they would have in the themed birthday party. And and that's the thing. It's like we're kind of at this point in our culture where, again, everything has to be bigger and more, and and that can be so exhausting. So I thought the 1980s style birthday party was a great idea. So that's doing enough. And then there's having enough. We definitely in our culture have been programmed to always want more. And I think that there's two sides of it. One is that it's coming from a place of scarcity. It's coming from a place of feeling like we don't have enough, that we always need more. And that's either to keep up with the Joneses, or it's because we're not actually embracing or fully present to the things that we have. Or we're looking around, we're looking on Instagram, or we're looking at our friends, and they seem to have more, and that's kind of keeping up with the Joneses, but it's feeling like this societal pressure of, oh, my kids really need that, themed birthday party. That's what everybody's doing. I can't not give my kid the themed birthday party. And so it could be material things, or it could be something having to do with, appearance, or, I need more clothes. I need some cool new shoes, more money. Of course, we always need more money, right? Who doesn't need more money? But this is another endless chase, because there's always more, right? Once you're looking for more, it's not like you ever get to a place of satisfaction. When you're in the scarcity, more stage of things, you're always chasing the next thing. You get the new shiny new object, and then, in a couple of days or weeks or whatever, it's no longer new and exciting, and you need something else. So, and the thing about needing more or wanting more is, then that keeps us on this hamster wheel of having to do more, like, well, I've got to do more in order to get more. So, but what if what you have is enough? What if you have enough? And that means, what if you stop And a lot of people do, let's say, gratitude lists, and that's kind of one piece of this, but it it actually does mean like taking in everything that you have in your life, realizing it, being present to it, really looking at your house, and it's fine, or apartment, or whatever it is. It's like it's housing you, it's sheltering you, it's comfortable, it's got your imprint in it, it's got your character to it, it's got your things in it, it's got your family or your loved ones in it, or your pet, or pictures of your family and loved ones, or what have you. It's got it's enough. It's enough. And that goes for anything you could come up with on your list: your wardrobe, your car, and of course, your friends, your pets, your children, your family, all those things. Like, what do we really need? Like, how much do we really need? What is all this stuff really giving us? Not much, honestly. Again, a lot of it's shiny objects, or it's novelty, or it's junk food. It's like, quick, instant gratification, dopamine hits, but if you really connect to the fact that you have plenty right here and right now, that's a game changer. Then you can stop the chase for more, more, more. And so the final piece of this, of course, is that you yourself are enough. You are a complete, whole, perfect individual. There's nothing you need to change in order to be better. There's nothing that's missing from you. A lot of people, it's like they equate a lack of some kind in their life as a piece of them is missing, right? Like, I don't have the spouse, or I don't have the child that I want, or I don't have the job that I really want. And so they take that to mean that they're lacking something, that they're not whole, that they're not enough. I'm not good enough, I'm not enough. And sometimes, unfortunately, family or significant others or other people might mirror that back to you. Like, you might attract someone who is reflecting that to you, who is making you feel like you're not enough, because you feel like you're not enough, you show up like you're not enough, and then that gets reflected back to you. Doesn't mean it's true. Because the fact is, if you're listening to me right now, I'm telling you, you are enough as you are. You are whole, complete, perfectly imperfect, or imperfectly perfect, whichever one fits. So those are just some things to meditate on, because I feel like there's such a sometimes conscious, sometimes unconscious driving force of not enoughness that keeps us on this treadmill of dissatisfaction, always needing more, wanting more, never actually being able to be okay with who we are and what we have. So like I said, I'm going to be doing a couple more videos. This is part one of a series of 3. And these are all themes that we are going to be exploring in the program that I'm going to be launching in a few weeks, called the Work-Life Playbook, which is really about these themes of enoughness, and also finding more ease and joy in work, which then translates to more ease and joy in life. Finding more work-life balance, getting off the treadmill, getting out of the rat race mentality. That's what the Work-Life Playbook is going to be about. And so this is just kind of a little sample, a little taste of what we're going to be talking about, some of the things we're going to be talking about, and how you can add more fullness to your own life, how you can get off the treadmill, how you can feel more satisfied, and have an easier time, be less hard on yourself. So anyway, you can check out the link in the box below, which will give you more information about the Work-Life Playbook, because it's going to be a really great program. It's a 6-week program, and you can find out more about it by reading that. And I would, if this resonates with you, then maybe you want to jump on board. It'd be great to have you. So anyway, be on the lookout for the next two videos in the series, and I will be in touch soon. Okay, bye.